We're working on bringing us some research, and I knew it was going to inform what we did, so I just kind of waited until you're ready to present before we did that. I'm Eric Thompson, but you know, it's just Susan Hoover and Emily Franzen.
Hello.
Chris Kelsch is also on this committee, but he's not here. So I guess to just start off, the reason this is a new committee for Norwood, and we formed this when we adopted our new council rules back on the 1st of January. And the purpose of this is just to research whether or not developing a city charter is a way that we would like to take our city. And if that is the case, and what I'd like this committee to do is sort of develop a plan to get that going and sort of a timeline for all that kind of stuff. And I know that you all have researched a lot of things about that. So I thought you could start off by introducing yourselves and kind of the program that you're in before you get into your deck, and then walk us through the deck.
Okay. To start, did y'all get hard copies of the pizza? Okay, good.
We're good.
So I'm Gavin.
I'm Spencer. I'm Max.
And we are all seniors at Xavier. We are part of a project management course where it's kind of like a capstone, but it's our semester-long project that we've been working on this semester. And what we were tasked to do was to kind of find a timeline, pros and cons, and other things surrounding city charters to help out and give you the best research we could.
Mm-hmm.
So we can get started. To begin with, we're going to start with the steps it takes. The first step would be to appoint a 15-member charter commission. The most common way of starting the election process on the charter commission is for the city council to pass an ordinance by a 2/3 vote. 10% of the electors in the municipality can also trigger a charter commission election by petition. And eligible residents interested in serving on the charter commission must file nominating petitions with the applicable board of elections. If a majority of the electors of the municipality approve the creation of a charter commission to frame a charter, the 15 candidates for the charter commission who receive the most votes are elected to that commission. The ballot question on whether or not a charter commission should be created is a separate ballot question for voting on who will become a member of the charter commission. Okay, moving on to the next step. After the successful election of the 15-member charter commission, Section 8 of Article 18 of the Ohio Constitution gives the Charter Commission only 1 year to draft the charter and schedule a second election. The Board of Elections filing deadline for a charter falls 90 days ahead of a regularly scheduled election, which decreases the amount of time that the Charter Commission has to work on drafting the charter to about 9 to 10 months. And then step 3. Once the City Council submits the charter draft to the Board of Elections, a ballot question of whether the charter should be approved or not will appear in the next election. If the charter is approved with a majority of the vote, the charter will be in effect on the date stated in the charter.
So you found that it's actually an election to get the 15-member commission? It's not like an appointed thing?
It is.
Yeah.
So on that first ballot, there will be a question of whether a charter commission should be formed, and then there should be other questions of like who will be on
Like the number of the people who have submitted to be on that?
Right.
Yep.
Okay. So if the question is answered yes by a majority, then the 15 with the most
15
votes
highest
will become the commission?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
How many signatures would someone need, sort of in the weeds, but to get the petition to the board?
It is 10% of the electors in the municipality.
That would be a lot, so it's probably not,
No, I mean, eligible residents must file nominating petitions.
Yeah, so what that
So-
is basically, if you want to run for an office anywhere, you have to file a petition that has a certain number of signatures. So, for instance, on council, it's 50 signatures for
Yeah.
at-large candidates, it was 25 for ward candidates, so we have to get those signatures. So the question is do you know how many signatures is required on a petition? And if you don't, that's okay.
I didn't see that.
It's
in
something
my
we can
findings,
follow up
so.
with the Board of
It's a
Elections
small
on, which just
question.
happens to be right there, if you ever wanted.
So one of the, or like the main cost of the charter process is the legal counsel that you'll probably want to get.
Uh-huh.
Are, and this is something that many of the people that we talked to recommended, just because there's a lot of, well, it's basically your city's constitution and you need some
Right.
legal language in there. And ideally, you'd get someone that specializes in the subject matter, so that'd be a municipal law lawyer.
Uh-huh.
And that the national average is between $100 to $400 per hour. And another cost that would be associated with this would be potentially consultants. So there's one company is management partners, I believe. They're run by Jerry Newfarmer, who I talked to, and he's helped with the charter process for another city before. So consultants and lawyers would be pretty important for this process.
Right.
And just to give a visual on the timeline, so to start it off, there's the election for the commission. That starts the process, and then from that point, you have a year to get the charter voted on. So,
Okay.
and of course, you have the filing deadline, which is 90 days before a regularly scheduled election. So ideally, you'd want to time that first election about a year before a regularly scheduled election.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you can file it in 90 days before. That gives you the full 10.5 months about.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, for the drafting of the charter. So.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to talk through some pros and cons of creating the charter. So, a charter commission can also change the way silver promotions occur. So I know, Eric, we talked about how kind of the chief of police was elected and the chief of fire, how it's more of just like a written test, right? And then a kind of an appointment. So, and that's how it goes under statutory law. So there are, traditions of civil service. They're brought up like through the ranks, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But you kind of want to expand that talent pool as much as you can, and a charter city allows you to appoint those leaders from the outside rather than just kind of look inside at Norwood and have them take a test and appoint them that way. Pro 2 is adopting a charter government means that the commission will decide how elections are structured. So you have the ability to structure a nonpartisan election. I'm not saying you have to do that or you want to do that, but that gives you the option to kind of have citizens vote non-party, which maybe the best candidate gets elected because you're not looking at, party lines. So that's another pro. Pro 3, so once they get in office, their terms can be adjusted. So I know last time we talked to Eric, you're kind of like the changing the guard all happens at once. So who knows if this can even happen while we're still, in our ward positions. So with the city charter, you can change up the terms. That way you have kind of a continual ability to work on projects. It's not just a change of the guard. Maybe projects get forgotten here, stuff of that nature. 4, a charter commission can make any changes it wants to fit the needs of the community. So amendments to charters are often made under a statutory model. So the flexibility is not really existent. If the commission doesn't want to make any changes to the city, it doesn't have to. So that's really great from a voter perspective, right? You can change nothing at all, and that's okay in a charter city. So if no one really wants anything changed, that's fine. A charter doesn't dictate that something has to change. But if you do want change going forward, it makes it easier on an individual level to make that change rather than having statutory government.
That usually has to be voted on too, since the charter itself is voted on. I think the city has to vote on it. Any
Correct.
changes, yeah.
Yeah. So another one is it allows to choose its own plan of government without having to default to statutory options. And there's 3 main ways. So if you look at the bottom, it's the third type. that's like the council city manager form. This is the most common among charter cities in Ohio. In this form, the mayor becomes sort of a ceremonial function, and there's a stronger balance of power with the city council. But that doesn't have to be the case. There's also a strong mayor form of government, and that's closely related to statutory. So that's where, the mayor kind of runs it, and they have more power. And then there's another form, which is the weak mayor form of government. It puts more power in the hands of the city council, but the mayor still he's not like a figurehead, right? He's still making some decisions. And then Pro 6, so statutory city means that Norwood kind of uses a boilerplate set of laws from the state of Ohio, and that includes the municipal funding mechanisms. A city charter will change those funding mechanisms. So if you see here on this picture, this was taken about 2 years ago, but this is down a road, and Cincinnati owns half, Norwood owns the other half. So
Section road, yep.
yeah, exactly. So maybe some funding could be placed other places, and that's definitely a benefit.
That is fixed now, by the way.
Yeah, they match now.
Some of the cons, so frequent changes in the charter can cause some instability. If things are changing all the time, people can kind of get lost in that and not sure the direction that the charter is going. The second one is home rule allows local political and interest groups increased freedom and state supervision. So that's not necessarily a bad thing, but if you are looking for some of that support from like your old statutory, I guess it'd be like Cincinnati, they may be, I guess, less willing to give some of that. Just Norwood would be their own charter city. The system makes the solution of region-wide problems more difficult, because local government can refuse to participate. And then, due to proposal to amend the character, bails may become excessive in length. So that just means like, if you're changing a lot at once, right, the balance could get messy and people overlook things and voting might not be as clear as it could be. Going forward, let's pass this along here.
I have a question.
Sure, yeah.
What does this mean, local government could refuse to participate? Do you mean Norwood's local government?
Yeah,
or-
yeah. So, let's see. Yeah, so region-wide problems just being like Cincinnati or Hamilton County as a whole. Now that Norwood's not a part of that statutory, it could just be, we're not going to worry about that. We're just worrying about Norwood at this point, and have less of an impact on, I guess, external affairs.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, and then at the end, we included some sample links to drafted charters they're all pretty recent within the last 15 years. I know Deer Park, they voted on theirs just in 2020, and then North College Hill and St. Bernard were in the late 2000s. And we thought it would be helpful just to add the links there, so you could go, if you wanted to, you could go to reference those other charters.
I did look up for Charter Commission. I believe it is 50 signatures.
50 signatures?
Yeah,
Okay.
just like we're at large. And
Yeah.
it looks like you can nominate multiple candidates on the same petition,
Oh, cool.
up to
Nice.
15. That's the number of slots they have,
Yeah, and
so.
I'm sure it's nonpartisan signatures.
Yeah,
too.
it's nonpartisan signatures, so it's just 50.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Let me see. I was actually surprised that it has to turn in a year's time.
Yeah, I thought it would be,
Yeah,
I thought there'd be more
too.
time.
Yeah, no,
So I guess it would be the kind of thing where you would try to get the commission elected on a November ballot, and I guess then you would try to get the charter voted on the following November ballot. It seemed like you'd want to have it on a main vote like that and not a primary vote, so you had good turnout.
I don't know if you looked into this, but have there been many examples of cities returning to being a statutory city from being a charter? From what I've read, it seems like it's mostly statutory to charter rather than the other way, but I didn't know if you had seen anything.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen anything. Most of the things I looked into were cities going from the statutory to the charter. So not in my research, I didn't see any examples where that was the case.
Yeah, the other person I had asked said the same thing, so I figured might as well try again and see.
I did find out, Eric, that, and you might already have this information, that the OCMA, Ohio City County Management Association, has up to $2,000 for charter campaign
Interesting.
stuff. So that could be for your mailers, signs, maybe voter education, because I know that the ballots can be
Yeah,
confusing.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that before you vote on the charter, that you're supposed to, everybody is supposed to get a copy
Yes.
of it, like a hard copy, so that would have to be a
Wow.
large
Expense.
mailing that would have
Yeah.
to be undertaken and paid for.
Everyone, as in every
Every voter.
registered voter.
Yeah. Yeah, they can't vote on a charter that they've never seen,
Yep.
so,
Which is fair.
I'm doing math.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of,
It's a lot of stamps.
it's a lot of
It's
stamps.
a lot of stamps. So, I mean, thank you all for doing this. I'm just going through, it's a lot of information, I just wanted to make sure I didn't have any immediate questions.
Yeah, it's
Do you-
nice.
oh.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna ask, do you know what attorney or law firm St. Bernard or Deer Park used?
So we do know the gentleman that helped out Deer Park. I know, I could send that to Eric. And we were provided with some other, firms and stuff like that we could also get you in contact with.
I know you spoke to several people
Yeah.
who've done it.
Yeah, I spoke to the, city manager at Deer Park, and, he pointed me to, I forget the name off the top of my head, but it was the, legal councilman that helped them out, or guided them out through the process.
Right.
And, I was going to say, it's nice to see it laid out kind of step by step of what to do, because I've been looking stuff up on my own, and there's just a lot of information out there. It's kind of overwhelming. I also wanted to say that Candace and I met with, I think, probably the same Jerry that you guys are
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about.
Yeah.
And we talked about, like, reasons why we should, like, if we have good reasons to do a city charter, he would be a good resource to have. We talked about some examples, like with strategic planning as well as charter creation, so I have notes on that for,
Okay.
I can share, and we can meet up with him or invite him to another committee meeting possibly, because
Yeah, that'd probably be a
he was
good
very
idea.
open to coming and chatting whenever, because he's just down the road in yeah, he's in Evanston, so.
Awesome.
I know he has some legal contacts too, if
Yeah.
not like employees that are lawyers within his company.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think he would probably be one of the best resources to have.
Great.
In your research, were there particular things that seemed like sticking points or the biggest challenges that communities had to deal with?
So the two things that I found that would be the hardest to overcome is that year-long deadline, and also speaking with the Deer Park city manager, he said the jargon language barrier that exists in a charter and getting their residents to understand, that is one of the challenges they're facing with their new charter. And he said right now they're trying to simplify sentences, get to the point quicker, and take out some of that jargon language so the citizens have a better understanding of what is actually being said inside of that document.
It's a lot of voter education.
Yeah, education. It makes me think that if we were to do one eventually, that when we send out the charter for review before election, there's also a
cheat
summary
sheet,
brief.
yeah.
Kind of that this is what this section is talking about, and these are the bullet points that hit the high parts, and, to explain that, I mean, we have ordinances and are written in legal jargon, and it's not an easy, if you're not used to reading it, it's like, what does this mean?
Yeah.
Right.
So that could be a very real issue.
I think having 15 members on the charter committee would be helpful, because that's just more people who are more involved in the process and who can do outreach with their own private stuff, but yeah.
Right.
Having a TLDR of the charter would be
Right, yes.
ideal.
Also surprised, I mean, honestly, that it's such a large committee.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
15 people is going to, I imagine that's a difficulty too, is in
Finding
the
enough
wrangling
people.
of 15 people over the course of 10 months to come to that. But I see benefits there too, because you get a much larger cross-section of city representation taking part in it, so
Yeah, I can
that
also
could be a
see,
good thing.
like, someone who wants to be involved in the city, but doesn't feel like they can commit to a city council position.
Right.
This is a one-year thing and you're done. There
Yeah.
might be a lot more interest in doing that. And it's a nonpartisan thing, so you don't have to worry about as much with party politics.
Right.
How does the charter commission work with city council in drafting the charter? Are they just 15 residents? Or do any of those 15 need to be council members or should be council members? Is there a collaborative conversation about what would be in the charter?
I don't think there's a requirement for any of that. I think it's all, if you want one of the city council members wants to be part of it, then they can. And I would imagine that they probably should communicate with each other, the commission and the council, but I think they're separate entities.
So the commission would create, they would have 10 months
Yeah.
to create the charter and then bring it to council, and then council would approve it, and then it would go, right?
I don't know if there's a council approval. I think
It's,
once you do the charter committee, they would be the ones who submit it
Yeah.
to the BOE or whoever.
Well, it says the council submits the charter draft to the BOE.
Oh, okay, never mind.
That's why I was just sort of,
We may have
I'm
also.
doing the "we just a bill," remember that from, oh, you guys aren't old enough.
The what?
I'm just a bill.
Oh, I'm just a bill,
So
right,
just like kind of picture, where is the bill going next?
It might, you know what, it might require a resolution or something from council to, like, we approve of the submission of the charter and pass it to the board. That's more stuff we have to do as this committee is. We need all that ironed out, I think,
Right, yeah.
before we
I feel like
kick
there's
it
sort of,
off.
there's a fold in there, and let's kind of,
Right.
and figure
We gotta
that
get
out,
that stuff
yeah.
out, yeah.
because I can't imagine there's no dialogue, otherwise the charter commission comes up with something, city council sees it, and we're like, no, we don't like any of that. We just wasted
Right.
10 months.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
would assume that as us having this committee, this would be the way to communicate
out,
back
right.
and forth. It'd be like, hey, during the process, we'll hold the committee on a standing time once a month, which is when you can come and share ideas, progress. I'm also, like, I haven't been a part of this, but I'm assuming a charter committee is also going to want to do its own community outreach, to find out what people are wanting and interested in. I mean, I'm assuming that's part of their job. So I think having a committee like this is a good way to be a liaison between council itself
Right.
and the committee.
And I'm trying to look up, I don't see any immediate things that say that there has to be a city council person, or on the other hand, that there can't be city council people on the charter commission.
Since it's an election, I
Since it's an
assume that if
election.
you get your signatures and
Yeah.
get voted on, I mean, we could all try it if we wanted to.
Right.
I don't know if anybody wants to.
Let's add another thing to the pile of things to
Right.
do. But yeah, it looks like it's just, if you're a registered voter, you can sign on, if you get enough signatures, you can get on the ballot. And it looks like Michigan, they only have 9 people on their commissions. So,
Yeah.
state by state, always different.
Any other questions for the gentleman here?
So many.
And I've got a lot of questions just in general.
Right. You all are welcome if you want to hang out, we'll probably, I mean, the second item on the agenda was just general discussion about this stuff, because we haven't really talked as a group about it. So if you would like to hang out, and if you hear something you want to chime in on, that's great. Or if you've got other things, you're welcome to leave as well. So,
I did have one more quick question for the gentleman. Since you're all seniors, what are you doing next week? Like, I'm just
Well,
curious,
next
what are your
week's Father's
plans?
Week,
Yeah.
but,
Okay, after that.
Yeah, I'm working for Symphony Advisors, so it's like a consulting firm in Cincinnati. I'm just kind of doing like business strategic stuff like that. Or I'm like a junior advisor, so really going in, learning before acting. So
Awesome, thank you.
And I am moving back home to Columbus. I am going to be an area manager in for Big Lots in their warehouses. So
Cool.
I'm going back home to Milwaukee, and I don't have any employment set up yet, but I'm going to go back home to Milwaukee. That's all I know so
Cool.
far.
All right, great start, thank you. I was just curious.
Cool. Also, you guys should come to the free coffee and
Coffee and
donuts.
Donuts on Saturday.
On Saturday at
Cappy's.
Cappy's. Now, we can't say what you do after you have the coffee and donuts, since Cappy's is right there. They should probably eat the donuts first, no matter
Well,
what.
and then you go back and you study.
Then you go back and you study. Yes,
Maybe get
that's
beer for
right.
later,
after studying.
after studying.
I teach at Xavier, so,
oh, really?
yes, I have a biology department.
So one of the first things I would want to do would be find out if like the attorneys work sort of as your consultant through the process, or if some places have someone else who walks them through, whether that's like a paid position or. I feel like we could get that pretty easily from the local folks who just did that.
Right.
I do feel like starting to have some community conversations about it. Inviting people in and just asking what their thoughts and feelings and.
Right.
I think,
Which is what we can use this committee for.
I think obviously we're just exploring this, but if we start to feel strongly one way or the other, trying to develop arguments to convince people.
Right.
Like good talking points of why this would be a benefit
Right. Or against.
or against, yeah. Or I guess, if we decide, well, maybe we should stay as we are, we don't have to convince anyone.
Right, yeah.
It
it
just
might not be
stays
the right
as it
thing.
is, so.
I think this is a good starting roadmap that you all have done, but it would be good to go in and for us to fill in some of those detail things like the how to file the petitions and who's eligible and all that kind of thing.
It looks like, at least as far as amendments go, it seems like most cities, if they adopt a charter, they have kind of a charter commission that comes together every 5 years to review and propose amendments. So that would hopefully cut down on the number of ballot initiatives that would have to
Right.
be put up. If it was on a certain timetable, just get it all done. I feel like 5 years is a pretty good timeline to see what works and what doesn't.
If something was really, really wrong, I suppose you could always
Do an emergent,
do an
yeah,
emergency one.
yeah. The hope would be that since there's so many good examples out there in Ohio and in this area of Ohio, that we could learn from them and try to avoid any pitfalls that they
Right.
ran into. I mean, it was St. Bernard and Deer Park being right there. It seems
Right.
like, hopefully.
To have it on either side of us.
Yeah.
Deer Park, it looks like they also have, almost like they've got a process. What is this, page 2? And it also has like the election deadlines, and this says 25 signatures.
Oh, Oh, maybe it's
But-
like with independent candidates, I don't know, but 25 is
Says
reasonable.
the charter commission must have 25 from registered voters. Members of the commission draft the charter and submit it back to the electors.
Which is the
And then-
voting public, yeah.
But then council may vote to approve charter commission, which is different than the charter. So maybe once the commission is established, maybe council's out of it.
Might be.
Yeah. Well, now I'm just down a rabbit hole with what Deer
Same.
Park did.
Would we want to invite to have someone from Deer Park? Maybe
I think that's a
their
great
city
idea.
manager. Wait, I think they have a city manager now, right?
Yes, they do.
Right. And then maybe we could have another meeting, maybe even a separate meeting with gentleman from St. Bernard. I believe it's a gentleman.
I think it is.
About their experiences, or maybe both in the same one, I don't know.
Might be good to get both perspectives together.
That worked for us, oh, that didn't work for us?
Yeah.
What kind of timeline would we like to establish for ourselves in this committee to make a recommendation? I think it would be difficult to be ready in time for November this year.
Absolutely. I was thinking by the end of the year,
Yeah,
I guess after the holidays
Right.
might be a good timeline, and that gives us enough time to meet together several times, get a lot of
get a
information
lot of
from people.
input and
Yep.
get everything established. That would put, if we want to do it on a standard election cycle, then that would mean that anybody interested in being on the commission would have that spring, the late winter, to get their names on about whatever the ballot deadline for that. It wouldn't be as early as partisan elections. It would
Right, it would
probably
be
be
the,
the
and it
April.
would be the same as
May.
independent, I think.
And then to vote on the commission the following November.
Which would
At
be
which point-
24, which would,
Huh?
that would be 24,
2024.
2024, sorry.
2024, yeah.
Which would be ideal as far as getting turnout up, so.
Right,
Oh, yeah, because that
Yeah,
would be the
that'd be good.
mayoral election too.
yeah. And then, would that be 2020?
Right?
No, it would be 2023,
Oh,
because this is 2020, it would still be next year's.
got it.
But then it would be 2024, which would be the vote for adoption of the charter.
Yeah, sorry,
okay.
that's what I was thinking,
So
yes.
that would be,
But still. Be good. Yeah, I mean, that seems like a good timeline as far as the election cycles working out, and it gives us time to fit other people's schedules into ours. Especially now that school is wrapping up.
Yeah. So honestly, it would put us on a roughly, well, from now, it's almost a 2.5 year path to get to a votable charter. People are like, why does stuff in city government take so long?
It's because we're all part-time.
it might also be worth finding out if, because part of me feels like, oh wow, that's so long, but it could be that we talked to the Deer Park and they're like, oh, no, it's like
You need
5
to-
years.
You
Yeah.
need to stretch it out even farther.
Right.
Yeah. It's a good, like, minimum timeline to keep in mind, and we can always adjust it.
May I add something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I directly spoke with the city manager at Deer Park a couple times. It's a gentleman named BJ Jetter. And he said it was roughly, they took about 2 years
Okay.
Okay,
to get through their process.
well, we're right on it then, okay.
We could be faster than them anyway.
Oh, yeah, now it's competition.
It does feel like a competition.
Yeah.
Gonna take out Deer Park. Are there things that you would like from us that would be helpful? Us, meaning me, sorry. The royal us.
Royal, I think what I want to do is, I've been taking notes on these questions. I kind of want to sum them up, and then we'll probably do homework assignments or something to come back and get some of these things ironed out. But at this moment, I don't think we need
Not
to
quite
like
yet.
walk out of here knowing what we're doing. I kind of want to process it. What else? What else? If we had to take a vote right now, just curious, are you both interested in having a city charter, or are you
Yes.
sort of like either or?
I'm strong yes.
Okay.
I'm pretty for it,
Yeah.
from what I've read, but I'm very willing to be persuaded. If and
Right,
it turns
and-
out it's just more trouble than it's worth.
Yeah, I'm for it as well, but I
Yeah.
want to keep an open mind as we go
Yeah.
through the process. I think one of the most, I don't know, compelling reasons to me, I've been on council for, this is my third term. There've been a few instances where we've really come up against Ohio Revised Code, and it's like, this limits us, and
Hard stop.
we can't do anything, and it's not that it's, what we want to do is illegal, immoral, or anything, it's just not permitted by the code that we govern our city by. And I think, you know, as we talk about these things and hear from residents and interested parties, some of those kind of things might come up. I also know that Norwood has always prided itself on its independence, and that we are an enclave, we're completely surrounded by the city of Cincinnati, and we always will be, because we're always going to be Norwood. And to me, there's really no better way to say we're in charge of our own destiny than to craft our own constitution that says this is how we want our city to run.
I mean, having home rule is
It
a
is
thing.
this is the ultimate of home rule
Yeah.
within the state of Ohio.
Yep. And I think it says a lot that the towns move from statutory to charter 95% of the time, it seems like, and not the other way back.
Right. So, any other thoughts or questions?
I will type up the notes I took with the meeting that Candace and I had on Friday.
Okay.
And share it with you guys.
That'd be great. We can add it as
Yeah,
whatever, attachment to the minutes of this meeting as well.
yeah. And then we have their contact info, and whenever we want to get in contact with them, they said they'll be happy to shoot up here and
Okay,
come and
great.
talk to us. So, yeah, Candace has all the contact information, so I'll make sure to get it from her.
Okay, and what exactly was their
Huh.
interest in or connection to charters?
So they have helped with strategic planning and with charter formation in other cities in this
Okay.
area.
So this is what they do?
Yes.
Got it.
That is what they do.
Yeah.
So they are very interested in helping us. I'm sure a totally pro bono approach. They definitely don't want any money.
Well-
But they had some good information about why this would be a good thing and why it would not, like reasons why you shouldn't do it, because it's not going to magically fix the entire budget, of course.
Of course
You know,
not.
Yeah, no one thinks that, but
That probably should be the first people we invite, even before
Okay.
representatives from Deer Park and St. Bernard. Another thing we'll have to figure out is funding. That'll have to be something that council definitely passes appropriations for. So in talking with people who've done it, we might be able to get an idea of kind of an all-in budget. Did anybody give you all numbers on totals?
No, I couldn't find any. I tried so hard to find
it's a labyrinthine process to
a
go
lot,
through
yeah,
the
a lot
budget,
of
Right.
even if you
people
know what
won't
you're looking
throw that
for.
out there until you get in contact with them.
Yep.
Exactly.
Same with Jerry. He didn't. I asked him about price, like for his company. He didn't. He didn't really want to say it. I don't think.
Because then you're committed to it if you say a number.
Right.
So,
Like the range is here and here.
so I like that lower end.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to find out how other cities have funded.
Because Deer Park is smaller
Yeah.
than us.
It's about 9,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
That's tiny.
if they could do it hypothetically, we should be
Yeah.
able to find the money.
I mean, they'd have to be over 10,000, they're not even technically a city.
Their village,
Yeah.
right?
Maybe Village can do it.
Yeah. If a little baby village can do it.
Yeah, we can figure it out.
Yeah, Silverton's a village too.
Yep. A very small village, 3,000 some.
So the next piece would be to see about these folks coming and talking to us.
I think so,
And then
yeah. Well,
afterwards, okay.
if you can give me their information,
Yeah.
I'll reach out and see when would be a good time. Yeah, write that down.
I'll do that. I'll write up what I have already. He'll probably talk very similar to what he talked to with us when he meets, but I figured that would
Sure,
be,
yeah,
give us
but
an
we'll have
idea
it
of what questions we might
public
have.
and-
Yeah.
And stuff. We also, when we put this out, I would encourage, if, I don't know if anybody's listening to this committee meeting, but anybody interested in the community, or in the community who's interested and want to come and who has ideas about this, for or against, whichever, it would, we'll just have an open forum to come in and at some point during meetings to ask and answer questions or listen to feedback.
It's a great idea.
Sounds good.
We'll make sure that's always on the agenda. All right, any other thoughts or questions before we end this? Nope.
I'm good. I think we
All
got a
right.
good starting point.
We'll call this committee meeting over. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.